The video on something I want to have faff around with, which is also an extension of some other videos. So I did a like 1 pot 7 dishes. So like taking basic ingredients, some onions, some carrots, some cheap cooking bacon, and some chickpeas. And oh, chickpea, that's a funny colour. Turn them into as many different dishes as possible, kind of like cooking everything once and then turn it into lots of different things, like different soups, like a chickpea and bacon stew, that type of thing. And then I was faffing around the other day with making bacon meatballs for, oh yeah, I've got them in a cud. So I just wanted to make some bacon meatballs and kind of preserve them in a jar. Is that starting to ferment? I think that's starting to ferment. That's not good, is it? That's not good. That's not going to preserve. That's going to explode in the cupboard. Well, we need to have a look at that. Why is that starting to ferment? Anyway, that's a disaster. That will be a good job I noticed those. So, I was making some bacon meatballs. For some, well, not bacon meatballs, but from cooking bacon and from some pork shoulder. And I just minced it up. Didn't put any breadcrumbs in or anything like that, or any cheese. I just kind of minced it up, rolled them up into balls, and then poached them, and they were very nice. Although they're starting to ferment in those jars. That's a good job I caught those, isn't it? Otherwise the cupboards would have been a complete mess. And I was kind of thinking, it would have been nice to kind of do a vegetable and chickpea stew with some of those meatballs in, because they're a little bit salty. And I kind of think if we cook them in a stew with vegetables and chickpeas, we kind of lose that saltiness. So I am going to mince up that. I'm going to cut that bacon up, and they're going to mince it up on the medium coarse mincer, and then we're going to roll them kind of quite small. And then I've soaked some chickpeas and poached some chickpeas. So we've got those cooked chickpeas, and then we've got the chickpea water, which is going to be the basis of the stew liquid, and I've got some cheap carrots. What we'll do is we'll keep those kind of quite big. We'll just top and tail them. I'm not going to bother peeling them because I can't be bothered. Cut them big, and we'll cook those first in the chickpea water, because the meatballs won't take as long as the carrots. Strangely, I don't know why. Yeah, and then we'll put some onions in as well. And I think what we'll do is we'll keep the onions whole, and we'll cook them at the same time as the carrots. Peel them first, obviously, and then we'll drop in these meatballs and cook those in the stew, and then we'll kind of combine it all together, and we're going to see how it turns out. So, mince that, peel those, chop and tail those, chop those, start cooking, and then we'll be back when we're something more like. And then it'll be something I can have in the fridge over the weekend, because I'm quite busy. I've got things to do, and it'd just be nice to have something in the fridge that I can just warm up as and when I want it. I'm going to start eating chickpeas now. Yeah, and then leftovers. Once I've devoured all the meatballs, I'm going to turn that into soup, and that'll be delicious soup for next week when I'm busy next week as well. What I should have done is I should have cooked the meatballs first instead of the vegetables, and then cooked the vegetables in the meatball-y, stocky type of thing. But we live and learn, don't we? And I was going out, so better to do it this way. That's okay, they'll be fine. So, more liquid in there, and I've got some more meatballs, so we'll poach these. It won't take long. They're small. Yeah, and I was thinking as well, why was I doing meatballs? And I was kind of thinking, oh well, it'd be the could then use meatballs in other things. So if like it's a bit of a batch cooking type of thing. So whereas before what I did was I used like gammon, or ham stroke gammon joints, and left them whole. And you can like shred them up in soup and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of thought meatballs, like cooking the meatballs this way, you're getting lots of flavour, and you're getting meatballs which you could then use in a pasta dish later on in the week. So, wasn't that like that? Oh, and I was in the supermarket, and I picked up a leek as well. That was cheap, so that can go in as well. So more liquid in there. like that, and then that'll take some of the saltiness away from the bacon meatballs and flavour that stock, and then we can build the dish accordingly, can't you? So they'll take about half an hour just gently poach. Don't boil them too rapidly. What we need to do is slowly poach them, and then the outsides cook, and keep it together and keep it formed. So instead of, if we boil them, they're just going to boil to bits and go to mince, whereas we want to keep them in a meatball form. They're ready. Let's pull those out and then let's cook the leeks. I've chopped up all the leeks, so we'll just pull those out. They are delicious. I've just tasted them, and that stock will have taken on the flavour of the bacon and meatballs. So, see, this video is going to be longer than I want it to be. So I have washed the leeks. I need to drain them, but we'll cook the leeks in there. You don't need to see it. And then what we'll do is we'll put everything. There's too many leeks for what I'm going to have from a dinner tonight. But we'll kind of then put it all back together, bring it up to the boil, and then kind of like have it for dinner. But these are nice. So we have cooked everything, combined things, and taken some of those leeks out and put them in with the other vegetables. I'll make soup with that later in the week. What am I going to call this? I think I'm going to call this bacon dumpling stew. I think it's going to be delicious. I did have a spoon, but I washed it up. That's where all the washing up comes from. So, what does the juice taste like? That's particularly good. It needs a little bit of salt, and it needs some pepper, but we're just about good to go. So it's pretty much been the salt from the bacon that seasoned this, just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. It's basically been that, and the cooking liquid from the chickpeas. As good as that. As good as that. So I think, well, you won't have to use chickpeas, but I think pork dumplings, yes. Oh, that's what I was kind of thinking as well. Oh, I did a function somewhere, and there was it was a shared function place. So there was other people who did the catering, and there was like a Friday meal club, and what it was advertised outside, and it was going to be pork stew on the Friday, and I was like, pork stew. I don't like the sound of that. That sounds a little bit rubbish. And I suppose in the back of my mind, I've always had that how would you make pork stew kind of quite nice. But I suppose what it conjured up was like bits of pork in something like that, as opposed to slowly cooked down in tomatoes, so it's more like a pork ragu. But I was always back in my mind, I was kind of thinking, well, how would you make pork stew kind of quite nice? And I kind of think you'd make it nice like that. I think you'd make it nice by making pork meatballs or dumplings and turning it into something like that, and then that would be nice, served with a bit of bread. So it's kind of the same thing I've done before. So it's the 7 dishes 1 pan type of thing, but instead of chunks of gammon in there, it's bacon meatballs, which lend themselves to something else. So I suppose maybe I'll revisit the 1 pan 7 dishes, and there might be another dish that we can kind of do on top of that. But anyway, that's going to be delicious. I'm going to enjoy that, and then I'll have seconds, and then there'll probably be enough for tomorrow as well. Oh no, I'm going out tomorrow, so there's probably enough for Sunday as well. A success. We'll add that I was thinking about what vegetables to put in this, and you kind of go, oh, the obvious thing is cabbage, and if you're not a fan of cabbage, it's a bit like no. So what I did do is I chopped up the onions are cooked in the pan, so the onions are cooked in that pan. So what I did was I just chopped them up when they were cooked and kind of cut them into that, so it kind of looks like a bit of cabbage, but it's not. That's onion, is that, and I think that would be much nicer. But if you want to put cabbage in, and it'd be just as nice. Like pork and cabbage work very well. So there we go.